Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with The Brave, Season 1, Episode 5, review. Alright, so this episode, I felt like it took a little bit, of I wouldn't say a nosedive, but it was kind of close. I thought last episode, I actually personally really enjoyed it. Things with these procedural shows is, you're kind of expecting the same thing every week, right? It's just, how they do it, how they execute it, and I just felt like this one wasn't executed that well. I felt like they could have taken this idea and really ran with it and done, some better things with it. And I felt like it just kind of turned into a cliche sort of thing. And this show has been good with that, with avoiding those cliches and actually, like doing research and, really making these, realistic. And I even have been reading, that they consulted, real, soldiers and, real operatives that actually have, done missions like these to, for the writing of the show. But yeah, I don't know. This one just seemed at a lower level than the others. I don't know. But there was some positives in it too that I enjoyed. It wasn't, like I was debating on turning it off. No, I mean it was, up to par for sure. Just not as good as last week's episode. I really enjoyed last week's episode. I thought it was unique, a little bit different, and a good, kind of twist on the season so far, from what we've seen. Yeah, so that's just kind of my initial thoughts of it. I just finished it like 2 minutes before making this video. So yeah, I did finish. I didn't watch it on Monday night. I just have been really busy, so I just totally missed it. Which I don't usually do, but yeah. So anyways, yeah, so watched it and here with the review. And yeah, honestly, I'm still liking this more than SEAL Team personally. But I've also read a lot of people, are liking SEAL Team better than the Brave. And maybe I was going to say Valor, but let's not talk about that. I mean, that show has just been, I've heard, basically it's absolute garbage. I mean, and which is disappointing because it actually looked not bad. I was watching trailers and stuff this summer for it. And I think it's Christina Ochoa or something, or Christine Ochoa. She's actually a great actress, but I don't know what's up with that show. I haven't even checked it out because people are just saying negative things about it. Rotten Tomatoes is just horrible on there. So yeah, I don't even know what to say about that show. I probably will check it out, like, I don't know, in like a month or so, just like maybe try to binge watch it or something just to see. But I may not even get past the first episode. I don't know. That's what I've heard from people, that they couldn't even get past the first episode. So anyways, we're not here to talk about Valor. We're here to talk about the Brave. But, always, obviously we're going to talk about the military shows and the comparison, because this fall there is 4 military shows, or, military base shows on the air right now. So that just has to be part of the discussion for each one of these shows, and how they're competing. And SEAL Team right now is doing the best. I would say by far. I would say by far. They're racking in about 8-9 million live viewers right now. The Brave about 5. I think they had 6 for the pilot maybe. And Valor, I haven't even checked, but I would guess maybe 2, maybe 3. So, yeah, and I get, I know that's not all about views, but, let's be honest, for the networks it is, right? But, anyways, so yeah, let me go over a quick recap here, and then I get to some thoughts, rating, favorite characters, stuff like that, typical stuff. So yeah, mission this week is to protect a man, Mr. Webb, and I think he was an American diplomat. He may have been with actually like the Nigerian government or something. I'm not exactly sure, but I think he was American. And so basically he was a diplomat. He's working with Nigerian leaders in Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria, and he's just working with them, on writing bills, and such like that, working on women's rights, I think they mentioned. So yeah, very important stuff, right? And basically the mission was, basically serve as his personal protection, for his time there. And this was all based on intel that, told them that he was being targeted by a Nigerian rebel group, and that, he was going to be, where he was going to go was going to be bombed or something like that. So Dalton and his team are sent in to basically protect them, but of course things go wrong, right, on this mission. So I would also like to see a little bit of difference as the season goes on. It just seems so repetitive now that they have a mission, and right when you hear it, you're like, okay, this is not going to be their mission this episode. Like, you just know, right? Because every, at least last 3 episodes, they get this mission, they get there, and then something goes wrong and the mission totally changes. So I don't know, I just like them to stick with a mission and maybe give them a harder mission then, and make them stick with it. I don't know, that would be a little criticism there. And then things go wrong. Obviously, when the shopping mall that his wife is shopping in gets bombed instead of his location, like they thought. So the intel was right that the web, that there was going to be a bombing in Nigeria there in Lagos or Lagos. But it was actually his wife at the shopping mall instead of him, with this at this Nigerian government location. So yeah, definitely really, really bad thing here, a horrible thing. The bombing kills many civilians in the mall, of course, and I think they said they drove a car bomb. It was a car, bomb in a car, and they drove it into the entrance of the mall. So, you just picture that. I mean, that's going to cause a lot of danger, a lot of havoc. And basically, yeah, so this rebel group then takes over the mall, takes some hostages, and they also take Mrs. Webb as a hostage, but they don't know that, she's her, right? They don't know that she's, the wife of this American diplomat that's there, who is already, supposed to be in danger. So, so they actually don't know that it's her, but they end up taking her, as a hostage. So kind of ironic there, for sure. So, of course, they're supposed to be protecting Mr. Webb, but, now his wife kind of falls into that protection there. So Dalton and his team spring into action to help, this guy's wife, or Mrs. Webb, and the other hostages, basically, but, I guess mainly her, she's the, reason that they're going to help out. And, basically the episode plays out with the team inside the shopping mall. Those four guys, and then Amir is actually being the eyes and ears outside in front of the building. Kind of just happened like that, where he was, kind of put in that position. So four of them are inside, one of them's outside, and that's sort of setting things up here. So the first little bit here, we see them, get into the mall. They actually have eyes on the group, and them, keeping the hostages. So Preach and the most important thing is, they don't have any information. They can't really see what's going on with the hostages. How many soldiers are there, protecting them or whatever, or guarding them, I should say. So Preach actually sacrifices himself to get inside the group, because he turns his body cam on, so then he can, film the situation and get information back to the IEDG with Hannah, Noah, and Patricia there, so then they can alert Dalton. That's also there, where Preach was. Basically Preach becomes a very, another hostage, and, under a lot of distress. Very heroic move for him as well, for sure. So the information benefits the rest of the team now, and telling them, how many soldiers are there, where the hostages are, how can they, get these hostages, safely back. But he's now compromised, so he's basically done. He's a hostage, and he can't let them know that he's, with U.S., team here, because obviously they probably kill him. So he's basically compromised. So it's basically McGee, Dalton, and Jazz left. Really. So, mission then goes on as Dalton and Jazz basically try to find a way to kill the captors and get the hostages out safely. So that's kind of the overall goal here, and easier said than done, right? I mean, it takes a lot, to kind of do that. And then also in the mix here is, the son of one of the hostages comes in, begging or whatever for his dad, and he actually gets shot. So McGee actually, which is another heroic thing as well, he goes and, kind of gets him up and then gets him into the pharmacy there and patches him up a little bit for the time being at least. So he's not, screaming, making all that noise. So that was a nice thing to do. But basically that thins out the crowd here, and we got Dalton and Jazz left in the end. So that's kind of, 2 against 4 soldiers they had, so to get all these hostages. So then, towards the end of that, the hostages are moved to a hallway, this was a really cool scene, probably my favorite scene of the episode, where Dalton and Jazz are on the other side of the hallway, in this clothing store, and their plan is to shoot through the wall because the wall isn't a thick wall or something like that, so the bullets should be able to go through. And they're gonna shoot through the wall with the help of Hannah at the IDG, because she's gonna use both security cams or whatever, and position their guns so they're shooting exactly where the soldiers are on the other side, which is really cool. I mean, just a really cool idea. And of course, Dalton kind of gets this idea, and he's really smart with thinking on the spot like that. Really snappy, stuff like that. So yeah, another great representation of that. But basically, the calculations end up working, which is just a very suspenseful moment as well. I mean, to make sure that they get these shots right, because if they get them wrong, obviously, it's gonna, basically create a lot of havoc. Maybe a couple hostages will get killed because these soldiers panic. And yeah, they're gonna be in danger. So they have to hit these shots, and luckily for them, they work, and they actually take out the two soldiers. Then Preach takes out the other. And my question is, I mean, in that scene, when Preach takes the guy out, does he grab his gun, the soldier's gun, to kill him? Because when he first went into that group of hostages, he didn't have a gun. They actually took his, or at least they checked him, and he didn't have anything. So I don't know if he must have grabbed his gun. He must have, because he did not have a gun on him. Maybe he hid it though. I'm not sure. But yeah, so he basically takes out the other, shoots him, 3 times or something like that. It was kind of weird, but maybe he's taking it out on him. And yeah, so they get the hostages out safely. But the last wrinkle here is they get out of the mall. They're in the front there, and they figure out that one of the little girls, or I guess the little girl, I don't think there was any other ones, is still in the mall, and they have to go back for her, as her father is outside, begging, for her, and telling them that they have to go back. So yeah, Dalton and Jazz, they get the orders from Patricia that they can go back in there and get her, and that just kind of becomes the last goal of this episode for the team. So basically Dalton and Jazz go back in. And this is a very suspenseful scene, just from the beginning, because the Ada guy, the leader of this rebel group that we see the whole episode, is in there with the girl. So this just kind of adds that, suspense, and creates, a really dangerous sort of atmosphere for Dalton and Jazz. So as we see Dalton and Jazz go in, we see, that Jazz is affected, quite a lot by this. She's kind of, she feels for this little girl, sort of on a personal level, as she saw her at the beginning of the episode there, and, she saw that she was a little bit, maybe of an inspiration to this little girl, right? That she, wasn't familiar with, women's rights, even this girl, and, she said that, something to Jazz about, being a woman, and you look so strong, or something like that. So yeah, really good connection there between those two, in the episode for sure, and then it comes back around later in the episode, which you could tell it was going to happen. You could see that, but for sure it was nice to see it play out anyways. So basically they find her in a store in the mall there, and they finally track her down, but this Ada guy, or the leader of this group, he's the only one that's still alive, by the way, out of this group now. He basically grabs her and holds her for ransom before this little girl can get over to Jazz safely. And yeah, then Dalton and Jazz really work well together here in this scene. And there was a great partnership between them in this episode too that just couldn't go unnoticed there for sure. And yeah, Jazz is able to flank this Ada guy when Dalton kind of distracts him with the phone call, says that this guy who he wants to talk to is on the phone, and slides the phone down to him a little bit because Jazz needs Ada to get out of where he's hiding behind one of those fridges there to get a clean shot on him. And Ada, he ends up going for the phone, goes out, lets the little girl go, and reaches for the phone on the ground, and Jazz shoots him in the head and kills him. So really great plan there, executed well. Yeah, I thought it was a really kind of a cool twist there, where they kind of had her flank him, and she was able to hit that shot and kill him. So yeah, great plan, right? And they get this girl out safely. They get out outside the mall there, and she kind of runs to her father. Really great moment there to see. That's just such a great moment in this show, and especially for the team members too, to see those moments of people rejoicing, and kind of thankful for what they've done. So really rewarding sort of thing there for them, I imagine. And yeah, so that that's basically the whole mission there. And then we see the whole team kind of walking away very heroically, like broad shoulders, kind of walking down. And I actually really like the angle, like the camera shots of that, where all five of them were walking, and then each one of them was a little bit before the other, so you could see the faces. And yeah, I actually really like that shot, and they stuck on it for a little bit longer than you would think, but I thought it added a lot of emphasis, to them, being very, proud of what they've done, very remorseful, obviously, for the victims, and it's kind of an on to the next sort of attitude they have, right? So yeah, I thought it was a great clip there. I wouldn't say a scene, but it was a good clip, to kind of show them, walking away. And this week we didn't have sort of like like kind of a I wouldn't even like a gathering, I guess they have at the end of these episodes with a kind of anecdotal story or comedic aspect to it. They didn't have something like that. They just had this sort of clips showing these the team walking away. So and I was okay with that. I thought it was good. So then, of course, we see that Patricia opening that envelope from her son that she gets at the beginning of the episode, and then that's sort of how this one ends. Very emotional moment for her, obviously, and for the viewers. I mean, that's just, really sad moment where she has to open this letter from her son that, he wrote in case of his death. And he ended up dying. So, yeah, she ends up getting the letter finally. And I think it's been about 2 weeks, I would guess. Or actually probably more than that, like probably a couple of months now, actually, since her son died, and the kind of the chronological order that they're using here with the show. So yeah, very emotional moment there for sure. I like the way that they overlap the reading of the letter, her reading the letter with the real time stuff, what was happening, right? So the actual clip of the team walking was behind, sort of, we saw that on screen, but we heard Patricia reading. And there was some relatable stuff there too, right? Saying the the bravery of soldiers and stuff like that, and that really pertains to the team there. So yeah, really great stuff there with the overlay of the audio sort of stuff there, and great development of the B plot. I thought, or the side plot of the show right now. Really, kind of procedural drama, right? We're taking missions every week. This happens. We have some ongoing stuff with the team members, but nothing significant. So this is kind of the main sort of B plot, or the secondary plot of the show, as Patricia, coming to terms with her son's death, and kind of seeing, the aftermath of something like that happening. Also, I guess you could say Hannah and Noah's kind of relationship and the way they kind of interact with each other. That could also be a secondary plot, maybe. But yeah. So I thought that was great development of that as well in this episode. And last episode, they touched on it quite a bit too. So I really like the way they're expanding on that. Honestly, like I said, I'd love to see a flashback of maybe, how he died or what exactly happened. Maybe that's coming. I really would like to see that. I think that would be very impactful. Maybe they, come across footage or something that they just recovered. I don't know, something like that. Where they could maybe integrate that. I'd like to see that. So, anyways, that just about does for the recap of this episode. I know it wasn't that much, but just kind of summarized the main stuff that happened. Now I'll get to my rating, some thoughts, and favorite character. For this one, my rating is going to be a 4.2 out of 5. So yeah, pretty low. I mean, I think this is one of the lowest ones I've given it. Like I said at the beginning, just wasn't, it wasn't really up to par. Like last episode, I enjoyed quite a bit, and this episode just kind of, fell down, kind of dolphin dived down a little bit. So some, highlights of this rating. I don't know. The preach parts, I don't know. I was cringing during it. Where, a very heroic move, where he kind of sacrificed himself to go in there. But just the accent he was using, I don't know. It just didn't seem believable at all. I don't know why to me, but like seeing him in episodes past of him, just talking, I guess normal English, right? There's he doesn't have an accent, and then kind of developing this accent and using it, and then kind of just automatically assuming that he knew the language they were speaking and stuff. And I guess we've seen that before, where they know Arabic and stuff like that. Obviously they're trained and they know languages and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just found it really cringe. I don't know why, but it just wasn't my type of stuff for that. But I did find it very heroic as well. So if you kind of get past that part, then you kind of see the deeper meaning there. The team is split up again. I don't know. Last episode was the same sort of thing. They were kind of split up, and then we didn't see as much time for each of the guys. And same with, McGuire and Amir now this episode. Amir, both of these last episodes, has had almost no screen time compared to the other team members. And I don't know why. I mean, yeah, there could be other things behind the scenes here happening. Maybe the actor was working on something else at the same time. I don't know. I don't think so though. So like I don't know. I just rather see all the team kind of working together, and kind of getting that equal time together though. Not necessarily show five different characters and then show five different evenly based clips. No, just put them together, right? And fighting a common goal here, and have them all in the same room. So I don't know. That's just maybe a little critique in there. And yeah, like I talked about the B plot development, I thought that was good. It's good to have some plot that kind of carries around episode to episode. And something like this, which is sort of like a procedural drama, with the missions every week. And yeah, I felt like it's very important for the show, and I feel like they're doing a great job with it, especially in this episode. So that was definitely a positive. Interesting mission this time with the whole mall and the whole hostage situation, but again, a little repetitive from last week. Episode 1 and 2 were repetitive because they were kind of saving this, woman in distress sort of idea, right? They go to two different places, but it's sort of the same goal. Now, this one, last week and this week, the whole episode takes place in one building, one location, and they kind of have to get their way out of this location to safety. And they use that same kind of concept 2 episodes in a row once again. So I'm not sure if maybe they should have switched the order of some of these episodes. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know why. Like, I would have appreciated this episode maybe, even if it's just, next week's episode instead. Or sorry, next week's episode instead. I don't know. I just find it repetitive. I just don't know why they would do something like that. But I mean, yeah, again, it's probably, kind of nitpicking here, right? I mean, a lot of casual viewers, they're not going to think of, oh, well, they were just in a prison in the same, sort of circumstance last week. No, I mean, I'm looking at this, with a microscope, right? But, I mean, yeah, I still liked it. I thought the mission was unique. I thought it was entertaining, but I just thought it was, again, a little repetitive. I felt like they could have mixed it up a little bit, gave us something a little bit more fresher this episode. So my favorite character for this episode is going to be Preach. I'm not actually sure his real name. I think Ezekiel is his real name in the show, but everyone just calls him Preach, so I'm just going to stick with that. He's played by Demetrius Grossi, and he was actually in Straight Outta Compton. I'm not sure if I haven't actually seen the movie, but there's actually seems to be a lot of actors that are in that and that are now in they've gone work in other things. So obviously, I don't know, I would call it a successful film. I would think. I think it was pretty successful, pretty popular. And yeah, so he was in that, and now he's in this. And yeah, I just really like his character this episode. I feel like he stepped up. Very heroic thing to sacrifice himself there and, get inside the group and get information for them. Yeah, and I really like his comedy too. In the start of the episode, there you saw him with his daughters, and you say, ka-ching, ka-ching, and whatever. So that was kind of a funny, light scene, right, compared to all the other, dark sort of, killing part of the episode. But yeah, for sure, I thought it was definitely a good episode for him. A little bit of a spotlight episode, I'd say, because he hasn't really been at the center of things in other episodes, kind of just being a part of the team. And this episode, he kind of stepped up and really, stood out. So, yeah, for sure. And I think the actor's doing a great job in the role. Like I said, I didn't really agree with the parts with him, doing the accent and everything. But, yeah, I mean, great versatility from the actor there as well to, be able to kind of portray that. Yeah, I just think it was kind of the writer's fault, not his fault for that whole circumstance. So, anyways, yeah, so that just about does it for this video. The Brave, I'm actually, I'm really digging this show so far. I think it's going to be a great season. Like I said, I am enjoying it more than the SEAL Team. So, that's something, that I'm going to keep up with. Maybe I might like SEAL Team by the end of both seasons. I don't know. And SEAL Team also got order for the full season, and this hasn't. So, and I'm not sure how that goes with NBC either. Anyway, so we'll get a longer season with SEAL Team. So, I'm still not sure how many episodes this season has. So that's something I need to check on as well. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. And thanks for the recent support of my videos. Really, really appreciate it. Really gaining a lot of subscribers recently. And I really appreciate that. I mean, if you're new to the channel and you're liking, what you see, definitely subscribe. This fall lineup is moving right along. And really happy with things are going. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. And I will see you next week for The Brave Season 1, Episode 6.
Standing on higher ground.